world by far. But these people want to destroy it. They want to destroy. Think about a candidate who literally campaigned on the platform of defunding police. I mean, the guy's crazy, right? He hates the Jewish population.
He did switch up on this, by the way. I have looked at some clips of our new mayor, and he has switched his position on this, and he even said it in his victory speech that he is going to be using the police to make the streets safe. So I hope he follows through on it. All the kind of radical agenda stuff that he has going on, I don't give a fuck about, not my state. But if him being in power means that New York City actually becomes safe for once, because like I don't want the guy to listen. I have nothing against Mamdani, right? I'm not for him. I'm not against him, but I do want him to do a good job. Because who knows? Maybe while he is still mayor, I would like to actually go and visit New York. And I would like to go and visit New York knowing I don't have to hide my fucking watch. No, I don't have to fucking keep my cell phone put away. Knowing I don't have to fucking carry a fucking gun around because I don't know when somebody is going to go full fucking crackhead or robbery on me any second of the day. And you guys have seen on social media how quickly a situation can go from docile, everybody minding their own business, to absolute murder in a matter of seconds, in a matter of minutes. So you have to be prepared for these things, especially when you're somebody like me and you travel alone. I don't like traveling with people. That's more to manage, more to give a shit about. I would rather travel alone than if I have complications, it's on me to fix it, you know?
Population in this country. I mean, he keeps on saying that he wants to arrest Netanyahu if he comes into New York. He hates the Indian population in this country. He says that Modi's a war criminal. He wants to nationalize grocery stores in New York. I mean, other than that, the guy is truly brilliant.
I do think it is a good idea to have a cheaper option, right? We have that sort of already, right? Because like normally when you go to a grocery store, especially if it's a local store and not a massive chain store like a Walmart, right? Let's say it's a local store. Let's say it's like a Safeway, right? Safeway, fucking tiny compared to Walmart, right? So let's say you have those two stores. Walmart is going to be able to get you bread at $1. What is it now? Like $1.98 for a fucking loaf of bread. In some places, it's even still $1. Safeway isn't going to be able to do that, right? They don't have the infrastructure built around being able to provide you that level of service that quickly, right? Which is why everybody goes to Walmart. If you have a problem where there is no Walmart and the competition is only a bunch of grocery stores that are highly jacked up in price, it is going to cause a lot of people to have trouble getting groceries. And when you live in a big metropolis city, it's not only difficult, it's damn near impossible. Because most of the people in New York that I know from New York don't drive. Some of them I met from New York don't even have a license because they had no use in driving, because it takes you 3 hours to get to one part of the city where you could walk there in 15, 20 minutes. So, I don't know. The way that I see things is, I don't know. It's like a double-edged sword, because it's like, as the mayor, your job should be trying to work with the governor to build lasting solutions to solve certain problems in your major cities, right? Some of the things that I've seen him promise that are good on paper are like a gazillion times above his pay grade. The only way that he could do that would be to have everyone in his corner to help him do it. And I mean the governor, I mean the congressman, I mean influential people like in the cabinet of the government to help push a certain agenda to get those things done, right? Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I hope it goes well, but some of these things, man, I don't see where, as a mayor, how he's gonna get that done. Because, like, I would call them presidential promises, right? Like, they're promises that are above and beyond what your station is. And unless you're the president, you're probably not going to make that happen, right? So, because in order to make a bunch of things free or very, very low in price, and if you're not going to require any working middle class people to pay for it, you have to convince rich people to pay for it. Rich people, more often than not, don't like to throw their money around on things that they don't really care for. So that's going to be some doing. And I know he's a somewhat charismatic guy, but man, I hope he has the sales pitch ready because he's going to scare these fucking people off. And there's going to be no economy in New York.
Guys, it is incredibly, incredibly scary what's happening in this country. They go out, they promise everything to everyone for free, right? And they're actually getting the vote. And we need to be very, 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 very careful of what's happening there. This is going to destroy a great American city. And
it's your fault. It's your fault. It's Trump's fault. And all the fucking Trump defenders are going to be in the comments. No, it's not. Yes, it is. As the president of the United States and as the closest living relative to that person, your job should be saying, hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Call him on the phone personally. Hey, Dad, look. I'm looking at these young people out here, and these young people, they're fucking starving. Their rent is through the roof. They have no hopes of getting a house. I get that you want to be peacemaker around the world, right? But I got to tell you the hard truth. The hard truth is you're going to lose all these people. All of these people are going to vote you out, and you will lose your majority because they still suffer. And then he's going to say, oh, yeah, well, the economy's doing great. For who? For who? Eggs are still $6, right? Right? Gas is still fucking $3. Gas is still, in some places, still fucking $12, right? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Right? Rent is still over $1,000. Lowest end on a good house. White picket fence, American dream home, 400,000 plus. Right? You want to get a used car off of Facebook Marketplace? $3,000 and it still has issues. You want to get a new car? Forget about it. $125,000. Right? Anything you get below that price range is basically junk. It's got a bunch of plastic, fucking low-grade metal parts in it that are just going to rust and break and fall apart at 50,000 miles, and that fucking thing's going to be in the shop more often than you'll be driving it. And that's for most cars. It's insane. And they don't see it, which is why they're losing it, right? All this investment in the country, and where's our fucking paychecks, huh? Where's our paychecks? You're making all this money for the country. Huh? You talk about giving people a dividend. You talk about giving people a sort of a plus up payment for the misuse of our tax funded dollars. Where's that at? Where's the economic relief bill that gives every American $3,000 to just fucking chill the fuck out and relax, so it offsets how much fucking bullshit we got to put up with while you fix all this? He's focused on outward, outside of the United States. He's focused outward, coming in. We want him to focus in and look outward. That's the point. That's the whole point. He was mandated when he came into office to put America first. That's what he ran on. But right now, he's putting the world first, running around playing peacemaker, making a bunch of deals. But economically, those deals do not help Joe Schmo down the block who's going to Target next week to go get a bag of fucking Tyson chicken. Right? That shit's still $12. That shit's still $16 in some places. Right? The fuck we talking about?
We can't allow this. We cannot allow this to spread across this country.
Do your jobs.
The interesting thing to me about that election, too, is that if you believe the exit polls, the majority of the people who actually voted for Mamdani in the New York mayoral race were young women. Where are my ladies at in here today? Okay. Yes, ladies. All right. Now, ladies, we also have a little bit of work to do because, unfortunately, the Democrats think that we are susceptible to all of their crazy ideology. And we got to turn that around. We got to bring the ladies.
He's not wrong about that. He's not wrong. A lot of Democrat politics is very much emotionally driven, which is why women are so like leaning blue. And even to a degree, I would say that like if you took each one of my beliefs into politics, I would definitely lean blue, but I look like I'm fucking far right compared to what blue means now, because that shit's ridiculous. But, at the time, taxing the rich to help the poor, getting everybody health care, that sounded pretty fucking good to me. All these kind of like socialism type agendas that Democrats had and viewpoints that they carried, some of it sounded pretty fucking good, right? I liked the sound of it, right? But in execution, it wasn't great. It was okay, but it was easily taken advantage of. And now, because they threw in with this identity shit, it completely destroyed it. Destroyed the credibility of all of it.
Over to the conservative side of the aisle and show them that God is where it's at, family's where it's at, having kids is where it's at. And as my husband pointed out earlier, you can have them all and a career.
I think that religion and politics should be separate. Never tandem, always separate. That's my thoughts on it. I'm not a Christian. I am not a Christian. I am not a non-believer either, right? I am, and shout out to the rest of y'all who are like me, I am a Norse pagan. I follow two books alone. I follow the Wanderer's Havamal and the Poetic Edda, which I'm reading through the Poetic Edda again. Can you see my little tag right there? Yeah. Hey, let me know down in the comments a good place to get like custom bookmarks. I think that would be kind of sick. Every time I think about it, I forget about it. So y'all let me know. I was thinking Etsy, but let me know if that's the place to go to get like a custom bookmark made. I want to get a couple of them. But moving on from that, I think that you need to separate certain parts of yourself, right? There are certain parts of yourself that should work in tandem, but not intermittently with one another, right? So you can come to a conclusion through your religion, through your through logical common sense thinking, and through deductive reasoning separately, and use them to kind of check each other, right? Like, for example, I am not going to talk to somebody who, let's say we're talking a serious topic. Let's say we're talking abortion. Say we're talking abortion and somebody presents their argument through religion. I have then a few routes that I can go. I can give them my argument back through logic, using straight up just what is the common sense answer to this question. I could come at it from an analytical standpoint and just give them the facts. I can come at it from a religious standpoint, and maybe we're differing in religion, but my religion says this about this certain thing that maybe might change your mind a little bit because this is how we see it and this is how you see it, but it could be different, right? And the goal is never to change somebody's mind. It is simply to make them open to the fact that there are multiple layers to the same thing, right? I want them to come out of the conversation looking at it at a more reasonable standpoint rather than being so hard-nosed on one side. I think it's the biggest problem nowadays is that nobody wants to hear that somebody has a differing opinion, because then you're on the enemy team. You're on the wrong side. You're blah, 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 blah. It's so bullshit. Everybody wants they want their fucking team to win, and it's the dumbest mentality. When it comes to anything complex, right? Whether we're talking politics, religion, fucking anything to do with the human body, right? Psychology, all of that shit. Anything with a massive amount of complexity to it, you have to be open to everything always. You can still have your beliefs, but you need to at least be open enough to hear out the other side. I think this is something that somebody like Charlie Kirk did very well, and that's what pissed people off. People fucking hated him for it because Charlie Kirk was still hard into his faith, into his certain opinions on different topics, but he was always willing to be open to hearing the other side. Even if he didn't believe them for a second, he still wanted to hear from them. Because even in the slightest chance that it pushed him 1% in a different direction, it was still an impact that was made. I think that's something that people need to carry into every conversation. I think the left has the biggest problem with this, but I do think the right is starting to have a problem with this because they are now starting to feel that same pushback that the left has been absolutely getting obliterated by. And pretty soon, everybody is just going to be anti any party, and they're just going to vote the most radical, insane motherfucker into the office.
We have to start doing better with speaking to everyone out there, including young women around this country. But I'll tell you, the thing with that race that scares me is that is the beginning, and that is the new face of the Democrat Party. If you think they're going to stop at New York, you are kidding yourself. It will be all over the United States of America, which is
if you don't do your job.
Why we're going to have to fight even harder going forward from here on out, because we can never let this happen ever again in the United States.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, Mr. Trump, Ms. Trump, I'd like to ask about your father's relationship with Israel.
Oh,
He's
boy.
taken over
Here we go.
$230 million from pro-Israel groups. During the summer against Iran, even though he advised against it, Israel still attacked Iran, and the U.S. still bombed on behalf of Israel. Your father's frustrations with Netanyahu have been made clear when he cursed on national TV over the situation. Israel has not been a great ally to the U.S. all the way since 1960 when they bombed the USS Liberty.
Hey, hold up. He's cooking.
Israel is a nation where Christians are constantly under attack in both Gaza and the West Bank. We talk about America first and defending Christians, but how can we do this if we align ourselves with a nation that does not do that itself?
Fucking based. I don't know where this man works. I don't know what school he goes to. Give him another grant. Give him a raise at his job. My God. What a fucking question. What a question. I'm actually genuinely curious. We're going to grok it right now. Fact checking time, boys. Let's get into it. Up, 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 up. Okay, I don't know what I did there. All right. Has Israel in the past killed anyone of the Christian faith? Yes. Israel has killed Christians in the past, both intentionally and unintentionally, in the context of military operations, conflicts, and incidents. Spanning decades. Oh my God. This includes civilians, clergy, journalists. Okay, 2002. The Church of the Nativity siege in West Bank. Protective edge in the Gaza war. The killing of Shari Abdul Akleh, prominent Palestinian American Christian journalist. Okay. 2024 incidents in Gaza and Lebanon. Israeli sniper Holy Family Church compound in... Wait, what? A Christian mother and daughter were killed by Israeli sniper fire while seeking shelter. You kidding me? Oh my God. How do you let this go unpunished? So like this was in 2023. Right? So this is the pre-Trump. There's nothing that he could do in this situation. 2024. Same deal. He was still not the president at the time. But we definitely have the intelligence to know that these things happened and the details about these things. What would I have done? Putting myself in Trump's shoes, what would I have done knowing that because Trump has gone on record and said this, that he feels like he is mandated by God to make America great again. And he has spoken of devotion to America and Christians. What would I do? What I would do two things. I would put disciplinary tariffs on Israel. Ally or not, you fucked around with the majority religion in our country. That is bad faith. That is improper between allies. You will pay for it literally. Second, I will force them to fund the largest Christian church in Israel. And it has to be, hold on. I need to do another fact check before I make my final decision here. What is the annual GDP of Israel? Jesus. Israel. Israel's nominal GDP in current US dollars for 2024 was $540 billion. Okay. Okay, let's do one more calculation. How much? I don't like that. Let's do. Actually, let's do. For the intellectuals, you probably already know what I'm doing. Okay. I would make them build a church in value of 8% of their entire annual GDP. And it has to have a massive statue of Jesus. The proper Christian Jesus. Standing tall with like the iconic, like with the hands together praying type thing. Or you could do like the hands out like this, right? That's what I would do. That's what I would do. And if they didn't, I'd flatten the entire fucking country. Peace through strength. It'd be pretty peaceful in that part of the world if you just started getting rid of the problems that live there. That's what I would do. In the hypothetical that I was the president in that position, of which you need to be punished for your fucking crimes as the one of the supposed closest allies to the US. And every single senator, every single House representative, every single member of the federal government that took any sort of money from Israel would lose an entire year's salary. All of them. You bought into this shit. You took money from these fucking people knowing what they've done. Fuck you. And then I'll take all that money and I'll build a bunch of churches with it. That's what I would do, even as a non-Christian. But like I said, this is the hypothetical. I'm in the White House Oval Office. I need to make a decision. That's the decision. You get tariffed, and you have to spend 8% of your GDP to build the most extravagant Christian church ever. And it has to be made in your capital city. And then the minute it is vandalized, unprotected, or anything like that, just wipe your country off the map. Fuck it. Fuck it. Who cares? Who cares? The fuck's anybody gonna do? The United fucking States, bitch. What are you gonna do? Nothing. That's exactly what you're gonna do. Oh man, I don't believe in playing buddy buddy with fucking countries that are just not even on our level, not even close.
There's no question my father's had frustration. In fact, I think he says frustration throughout the whole conflict with both sides. At the same time, make no mistake, you have a nation that is chanting death to America every single day on the streets of Tehran. You have a nation that will develop a nuclear weapon, and you have a nation that will use that nuclear weapon against
Oh, he's talking about Iran.
the Western way of life. There's no question about it. You have a nation that will use proxies around the world, whether it's Yemen, whether it's a lot of other ones, to inflict serious harm on this nation, and they don't hide it. They don't hide it. In fact, it's really interesting. About a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago, they put out, the Ayatollah in Iran put out an emoji, a little short video clip of a drone hovering over my father's head as he played golf. This was literally posted on the Ayatollah's, Twitter page, following my father around a golf course with a crosshair right on top of him, as if they wanted to assassinate him and as if they wanted to hurt him. Guys, Iran wanted to destroy our way of life. They wanted to hurt us. They wanted to inflict real pain. What I can tell you about my father is, in terms of Israel, he wants a peaceful Middle East. He wants peace around the world. He wants to end the killing. He did that with India and Pakistan. He did that, obviously, you saw what he did with Cambodia.
This is not what he wants to hear. None of these people right here want to hear this. Look at the... Can you see that guy? Yeah, you can, barely. Just above me, this guy here, he's fucking starved. He's fucking starving. He is upset. That is a hangry motherfucker. None of these people want to hear this shit. Because they're all fucking starving. Their rent is too expensive. They're paying too much in gas. They're paying too much in insurance. They're paying too much for medical shit. They're paying too much for everything. Every aspect of life right now is too expensive for a single young adult to live. You're making all of these deals, all of this fucking peacekeeping bullshit around the world, while the youngest, who need to carry on your torch after you leave in 4 years, or in 3 years, they still suffer. They don't feel the effects of any of it. All your rich friends, they love it. They know business is going to boom. They're doing great. Stock market doing good. But the average everyday American continues to suffer. And it continues to go downhill.
In Thailand, he's tried to stop every conflict because he's sick and tired of the death and destruction.
Also, I'm going to let him ramble on here, but I think it's fair to be able to say what he said, but I also think it is fair to criticize Israel and the hypocritical stance that your father took. Now, would I do it on live TV? Probably not. Probably not. This is a live little like rally thing, whatever, Turning Point. I don't know what they call this, a convention, conference thing, whatever the fuck. I wouldn't do it live on stage, but privately, I would definitely be like, Dad, what the fuck, man? like these kids are out here fucking suffering, and you're out here playing superhero? Come on, buddy. What are you doing? What are you doing? You need to get back to what matters, you know? At some point, you gotta be the one who brings... Like, everybody's got that friend that, like, has got to bring you back down to earth when your ego gets a little too inflated, right? And I'm not saying it's Trump's ego, but I am saying he's getting a little lost in the sauce. You got to fucking rein him back in a little bit.
So there have been times that he got mad at Netanyahu. There's plenty of times where he's gotten mad at Putin. There's times where he's been mad at Zelensky. And he uses all of that as a tool to stop pain and destruction.
Gotta wear that
death
suit, man.
Of people that are our age, your age in most cases, who have become political pawns and who have been marched into literally trenches and killed by the millions. And that's what my father wants to see end right this second. And that's why he's worked so hard for peace around the world. In fact, Donald Trump is the only president in the United States history that's never brought America to war. And I hope he keeps following in that crusade.
I don't know. It depends on what Nigeria does.
In response to the nukes from Iran, Israel has nuclear weapons and is not a part of the IAEA, unlike Iran. And it's just sad to see because I've never seen the American president get treated the way he does by the Israeli government.
He does, yeah. I think that's a fair point. He does get walked around a little bit like some fucking... Literally like some Nobel Peace Prize. It is kind of a bit like Netanyahu seems like the one taking the lead on things. And I'm not saying it makes Trump look incompetent, but it does make him look a bit silly. I ain't gonna lie. Look a bit silly, man. For example, I think the type of treatment that Netanyahu should have in the U.S. is the same type of treatment as the French Prime Minister when he was stuck by New York police so that the president's motorcade could go down the road, and the local PD stopped him from moving. A prime minister, leader of an entirely different country, was forced to stand there and watch as Trump's motorcade came roaring through New York. That was insane. That's the type of shit that you want to see. That's the type of shit you want to see. Like, why are we pretending that Israel's on our level? They're not. They're not even close. I hate that, man.
Here's what I'll add.
I would even argue that most people in the U.S. don't even know where Israel is on a map.
Do we or do we not have phase one of a peace agreement in the Middle East right now?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Eggs is fucking $6. Pack of cigarettes is fucking goddamn fucking 13, 16, fucking 8. What the fuck did I just click? It's fucking ridiculous amount of money, right? Gas is expensive. Rent is expensive. Mortgages expensive. Credit absolutely abusive. I think the credit system's a fucking scam. I think that fucking shit needs to be taken offline and reevaluated and then reestablished in a much more consumer friendly way. I think they allow very predatory practices to take place, and it causes a lot of people to suffer needlessly when there is a much safer and much less damaging way to teach people about credit. So there are many things, right? We have homeless veterans on the fucking street. We right now have no one with fucking SNAP benefits. And I am the first one to tell you that there are a lot of people who abuse those benefits, and I think that system doesn't need to be taken away. It needs to be reevaluated and then reestablished. Like I said, for the other system, for the credit system. It needs to be, essentially, it needs that good old Oblivion remaster. Except you need to polish it up. You got to make it nice. You got to make it work. You got to make it efficient.
Nothing is ever going to be perfect, but I'll tell you what, this president works with what he has. He believes in peace.
He has every branch of the government and a majority in the Supreme Court. He needs to stop fucking pussyfooting around. For those who say no, you throw them in jail. Because at the end of the day, the real checks and balances in the country are the people. Not the government. Not the military. Not the cops. Not the investors. Not the boardroom executives. Not the Walmart shoppers. It's everyone. It's everyone.
Through strength, and whether we're talking about in the Middle East, whether we're talking about a 40-year war like Armenia and Azerbaijan, as Eric just pointed out, a 5-day war in Thailand and Cambodia. This is a president of peace.
Doesn't matter. You can put the whole world at peace, but if your homeland is chaos, then you are not a peaceful president.
And sometimes you have to be slightly unconventional with how you get there. You use what you have. That is certainly what he's been able to do. And I would just say peace around the world sounds pretty good to me, and that's what this president is bringing.
Again, doesn't matter. Not until everything is back down. Once everything goes back down in price, it'll matter again. You either have to bring things down in price, which typically never happens, or you have to do an insanely massive wage increase for the entire country. Every single state mandatory. It can be a temporary thing just to get people by. Because you'll lose a lot of places because of that, because they won't be able to sustain that for very long, right? But you got to offset it somehow. I think, now that I just thought about it, I think the biggest problem is, I think Trump does have a plan to bring down the prices of everything, but it's not a quick fix plan. It's a plan that has to burn for like a 5 to 10 years. And in the long run, it's great. But the problem is your people are hurting now. Like, you don't have 5-10 years. You had yesterday to get this done. So people's patience are already gone, right? We've suffered for over a decade, right? Over a decade where the wages have not kept up with the economic boom. And then the economic recession, and then now we're back into an economic boom, right? All of that has to go into the pockets of the working middle class people. If you want to maintain your position in government, you have to do it that way. Otherwise, you're going to lose everything. People are going to vote a radical in every single state, every single district, every single mayor. It doesn't matter. Mayor, governor, they're all going to be radicalized. And then you will have 50 radical states underneath a government that is spiraling out of control because it has no idea how to fix it.
Good evening. So, I have a pretty busy father myself, but I know you have a very, very busy father. So, has his long hours ever impacted your sleep schedule?
Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
He'll call me at 5 o'clock in the morning. He'll call me at 12 o'clock at night. Then he'll call me at 5 o'clock in the morning. You know, Donald Trump is like the Energizer Bunny on steroids, you know, in like a red tie. And he's always been that. I mean, as long as, and I'll never forget in 2016, you'd have Hillary, she'd be up on stage. Does Donald Trump have the stamina to be president of the United States, right? And, you know, here she is. She packed it in like 3 days before, you know, election day. She thought she won. You know, she filled the Jacob Javits Center in New York with the most beautiful balloons. All her, you know, billionaire supporters were eating caviar and drinking champagne. And guess who was on the stage at 2 o'clock in the morning of election, you know, about 3 hours before he went to actually vote himself in Michigan? Donald Trump, because he wanted to get one more rally in while everybody had already packed it in. So the guy has never been long on sleep. And by the way, isn't that what you want out of the president of the United States? Don't you want somebody who's going to fight their ass off? You know. Here's what I'll tell everybody about him. He was the last person in the world that needed this job. His life would have been a hell of a lot better. Hang out at Mar-a-Lago, fly around on Trump Force One, play golf, hang out with his grandkids, do great real estate deals. And yet, you know, I mean, the guy, when he went over to Israel, talk about Israel and, you know, Egypt for the peace deal, he literally went over there, flew over there, did 2 stops in Israel, did a stop in Egypt, and ended up getting back 36 hours later so he could give our great friend Erica the Presidential Medal of Freedom for Charlie Kirk. He was able to pull that all off in a 36-hour period. Joe Biden couldn't have accomplished all of that in 3 months. I mean, literally, he wouldn't have had the stamina. So, you know, thank God we have a president that runs hard. Thank God we have a president. The guy will come off of Air Force One at 2 o'clock in the morning, give a press conference at Andrews Air Force Base, hop on Marine One, fly to the White House, get off, do another press parade, you know, down right in front of, you know, on the South Ground lawn, go up, and then sure enough, you'll have a press conference at 9 o'clock in the morning in the Oval Office. Like, you know, by the way, all in defense of America and all as the greatest cheerleader America has ever seen. And I think that's exactly what we want in a commander-in-chief.
Fair.
And by the way, Benny, you asked about good campaign stories. This is one that speaks exactly to that. When we left Grand Rapids, Michigan, after that final rally of last year, we got on the plane to fly back to Palm Beach, packed, you know, with the whole campaign crew. And you would think, because the next day, everybody's going to be up early, start to finish, like we're going hard again, making sure we turn everybody out, then maybe you'd want to rest a little bit. Not Donald Trump. It was a full concert on the plane the whole way home. Nobody slept a wink. We all walked off of that plane just absolutely exhausted, but knowing we left nothing to chance. We left it all out on the field. And we played a lot of great music on that plane on the way back, I'll tell you.
I don't know if I care about any of this.
You may have heard he's pretty big on the iPad playing.
What a beautiful time this has been.
We'll get to the next question here.
Yeah, what a beautiful time this has been in honor of Charlie. Speaking of, I'm very Christian. I'm
What state farm do you manage? Sorry. I had to, man. As all I could think of the minute I saw the guy.
extremely pro-life to the point where I'm also anti-death penalty. I was just curious on, it's one of the few things that actually Charlie disagreed with the president about. What is the president's stance moving forward as it goes with protection of unborn life?
Well, I think you know where he stood all along. I mean, this is the first president to participate in anything that has been pro-life, you know, to the capacity that he has. I think he's been very clear on his stance for that. We know that he promised us that he would put Supreme Court justices on the bench. He put 3 of them on there, and we saw the fall of Roe v. Wade, right? He worked very long and hard to ensure that he got good people to do that. The first president to speak at the March for Life, and I don't think he's ever shied away from his position. And he's the one who will tell you the story about actually changing his position, that for a long time, he wasn't pro-life until he actually met back up with a child of someone who he knew from years before, who thought about having an abortion, kept the baby, and then he talks about the fact that he met this, you know, young man or woman who really impressed him, that he was like, God, this is what happens. This is what the beautiful part of life is all about. And it changed his mind completely. So I don't think he's changed his stance. I think he's been very clear on that.
Well, inherently, that would basically mean that he did change his stance. She just kind of went back on like what she just said. Because like if he was for the abortions before, and then met somebody who didn't go through with it, and they kind of were an emotional trigger for him, and then he became fully pro-life, well, that does mean that he switched his stance on that specific topic. It's no different than fucking Mamdani. Mamdani's the same way. He was anti-police, right? Defund the police, right? And in his fucking victory speech, he wants to help the police make New York safe. So he switched his stance up pretty quick on that, right? Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. That's a weird thing to say. I don't think she realized that she did that, but yeah, that's essentially what happened.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. But as it goes for stance on the death penalty, do you think that any more can be pushed in that direction as it goes for a pro-life stance?
If they touched an underage person, instant death. With proper evidence, right? If you rape somebody, you should die. I don't think you should be allowed to live, unless, actually, I think what we should do after we get the labor camp system set up for our prisoners so we can make them work, I think that we should have like a tiered system, right? So say you're fucking in there for skimming a few credit cards, right? We'll have you in there manufacturing number 2 pencils, you know, not that difficult. Just got to be careful around the machines and you're chilling, right? And then I think the more serious the crime, the more intense the labor. That's what I think. I think you should have to like mine minerals, right? Fucking chain gang, fucking shackles, putting in railroads, fucking mining minerals, people driving by throwing fucking food at you and shit. I think that should happen. I think that should be the case. I think we use prisoners to do the worst things in society, so then we can just enjoy the good things, right? Bring the prices down on everything because everything is becoming manufactured and shipped and dealt with in state, by the state, for the state.
Yeah, I think he's probably not changing his mind on death penalty. There's a lot of people who have inflicted a lot of harm, and I get it. I get it if you're pro-life, but I don't think we're changing his mind on death penalty.
Probably not.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. A lot of presidents, a lot of Republican presidents in our lifetime have said that they are pro-life, and not a single one of them went the 200 feet from the Oval Office to the March for Life, and President Trump has done it every single year. Spoken to the March for Life and done
Fair.
so very strongly.
Hi, you guys. My name is Audrey, and I want to thank you guys again for being here. This is such a special moment for everyone. I would like to preface.
What's that guy holding up on his phone? They blurring it out, so I can't fucking see it.
I'm from the suburbs of Chicago, and ever since I was little, even up until now, my parents have advised me to stay away from Chicago, and I can see why, and I do. Our governor is a disaster,
Smart.
and he denies the crime that goes on in
Yeah, what a fucking fat porker piece of shit that guy is, huh?
Chicago, and he goes against federal laws and policies, and it really sucks. And I just would like to know what steps President Trump will be making to lessen the crime in Chicago. I really appreciate that he's already taken steps with the National Guard and ICE agents, but I would just like to know what steps he'll be taking in the future.
Hey, I don't give a fuck. He could roll up in there with some fucking jets and tanks and shit. I don't fucking care at all. Oh, you got a fucking building full of gangbangers? Blow it the fuck up. Who gives a shit? Fuck you for pushing your violent bullshit on everybody else so that they have to live in fear because of your ignorance and your lack of ability to do anything more for yourself than shoot your fucking neighbor's dog or you in the face. Or your neighbor. Fucking, I had to stop for a second. I was like, wait a minute, I didn't say that right. But yeah, it's so bullshit, man. Like, your freedoms don't trump other people's. That fucking didn't mean to pun it there, but you know, your freedoms don't trump other people's ability to live. Like, that's not the whole point of those, right? You want to have freedom of speech? Sure. Don't impede fucking traffic. People got fucking shit to do. That's why we have sidewalks. That's why we have public spaces of gathering. So then you can have your peaceful protest. You could scream, yell, fucking bring the subwoofers and fucking have a goddamn party for all I care. Just as long as I can get to my 9 to 5 because I got bills to pay. And I think that's most people's stance on things. It's never a problem until you unlawfully, well, not even unlawfully, but you fucking demonstrate in a way that is disruptive to everyday society. And that's no different with crime. These people are a fucking problem. And a lot of them are people who shouldn't even be out on the street. They've been caught. They're repeat offenders because they have this fucking... They have this system that essentially rewards them for being arrested. And unfortunately, some of these people are young kids because the kids get let off. So the adults groom the kids go in, they do the crime, they spend a night in jail, they come back out the next day, and they pick them up and they do it all over again. It's fucking insane.
So, Audrey, this is such a great question. And by the way, this has real, like, deep meaning. I built our building in Chicago. You've probably seen it many, many times as you were in there. It's the tallest building in the city, second tallest building in the city, the seventh tallest building in the world when we built it. And Chicago's gone to hell, and it is deeply sad. And Chicago's a city that's been run by Democrats for the last 100 years.
Yeah, they did a great job fucking that up.
And despite that, they go further and further and further to the left every single election, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And if you look at what my father did with Washington, D.C., in 12 days, they arrested 4,300 people. And
not enough.
Crime went from being astronomical, not quite
They
Chicago, but
up
bad,
those numbers.
to being 100% perfect, meaning, they have no murders. The point is, we've seen this story before. We've seen this movie. It can be done. And yet, I know your governor, and I know Pritzker, and he's been an absolute disaster. I mean, you have the president of the United States saying, I want to come, and I want to be your partner, and I want to fix this problem. They had a weekend recess.
Well, I don't think Trump was that nice, if I'm being honest. If he was that nice, I think things would be a little bit different, right? But I don't think he was. I think Trump was like, look, you fat fucking piece of shit. Like, I think behind closed doors, Trump is 10 times the asshole he is on camera. 100%. In certain situations, it has climbed out a little bit, but I think behind the scenes, he has no problem strong-arming people and being an absolute dickhead. I could 100% see that.
Where you had 70 shootings, and a lot of those translated into murders. Every single day, brothers and sisters and husbands and wives and daughters and sons are getting mowed down. And they don't give a damn. And you know why they don't give a damn? They don't give a damn because if Donald came in and he fixed the problem, it would be a huge stain on the Democratic Party forever, in that he was able to fix a problem that they, for the last 100 years, couldn't get under control as it progressively got worse. Remember the problems you had in Chicago. I mean, you literally had people under Lori Lightfoot, who was the last mayor of Chicago, who were leaving piles of bricks along Michigan Avenue so people could go up, grab the bricks, and throw them through, storefronts. And you know how I know this? Because I took care of every single one of those, those Chicago PD officers in our hotel that were bloodied, that were cut, that were beat to hell. We took care of them in Trump Chicago. Like, we became like their fortress during remember, it was it was the summer of love, they called it. It was the mostly peaceful protests, as CNN called it, as the cars burned on streets all across this country. It is so sad because we know the problem can be fixed. It was.
Yeah, dude, just call it a fucking riot, dude. Just call it what it is. It's so dishonest. It's so dishonest, and it did irreparable damage to the blue argument. To the blue side argument.
So sad because Donald Trump has already proven that he can fix the problem. The problem is you have corrupt, incompetent politicians who don't care about this country and don't care about the citizens, but only care about their political party, despite the fact that that comes at a massive detriment to the people of Chicago. And I'm telling you, if you gave Donald Trump 2 weeks, you'd have the safest country in the nation. We've seen it done before, and I hope to God he goes in there and just takes care of business, because the people of Chicago.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. They had National Guardsmen picking fucking flowers and shit in D.C. because they cleaned it up in a matter of like 2-3 days, and then after that they had nothing to do, so they're just like, just make them do landscaping. We gotta, how long do we got them contracted for? Oh, 2 weeks? Oh, okay. I don't know, make them put down the mulch.
Chicago deserve it.
Fuck's sake, man.
Thank you. I agree, and I believe in him.
Thanks, Audrey.
What else we got?
This will be our last question.
Hello, so we're in high school, and talking about politics is just
shit.
really brutal because it goes straight to
High
name
school?
calling. So my question is, for people who disagree with
We got people this young? Holy shit. Yo, people in my high school, you'd be lucky if they knew like what political branch was responsible for what form of government. Like, nobody when I was in high school gave a fuck about politics.
us, how can we try to find a way to commonly come together and talk about at our age?
Okay. All right. Fair question. How do we talk about it without everybody getting fucking mad? Get the fucking radicals away from the internet. prison labor camps making number 2 pencils. My friends, I'm fucking telling you, it's the solution.
Well, first of all, thank you, ladies, for being here tonight. This is absolutely incredible to have you. And I would
Absolute
say
W.
if you ever feel like you are too nervous to talk to somebody or you're not sure what to say, remember our friend Charlie Kirk over there. Channel Charlie. Take a moment. Understand that you are speaking from a place of truth. You are speaking from a place of goodness. You are speaking from a place of understanding. And you can just tell these people that this is what you believe. They don't have to believe it with you. And that is the beauty of the United States of America, because we can agree to disagree in this great country. That's what.
All I hear is bald eagles and gunshots, feller. We got freedom here. Freedom of speech.
It's all about.
Freedom of expression.
But also have backbone. I can't tell you how little backbone so many people have, right? You know, when DEI was running rampant, guess who went against it, right? And that wasn't popular, and that was often hard. When, you know, my father had to go out and remember how brutal it was. You had men my size swimming in women's collegiate sports, right? And that became the acceptable norm until Donald Trump came in and started beating the drum.
Yeah, that shit was also a massive killer for the Democrat Party. The more it happened, the more people pushed against it. Because it made so many people uncomfortable. Because, like, in theory, on paper, they were okay with it. Until that same man was in their daughter's locker room. Until that same man was in, was in a literal private area of which you are meant to undress and be exposed to. I mean, listen, I'm really tired of fucking I'm talking about this bullshit, all right? Because it's such a common sense, easy, just like, stop being fucking, I did that again. Stop being fucking weird type things. Like, it's so common sense. Like, there's no excuse for allowing a man to expose himself in front of females in any capacity at all. Right? Unless you're two consenting adults that are going to a nude beach, that's it. That's the only place where that applies. Outside of that, it does not apply at all. It should never be put in a scenario where it has to apply.
You know, once in a while, you have to beat the drum. You have to stand up for what's right, even if it feels unpopular. So oftentimes, the things that feel unpopular are actually the most popular things. You can't back down, and you can't cower, and you can't hide, and you can't silence your voice, and you can't just think something and compartmentalize it. You actually really have to follow your heart, right? And you also have to be smarter than them. That's what Charlie did better than anybody. He was the best debater, and he was sharper than them, and he was right on the issues, right? So between the fact that he was smarter and he was actually correct in terms of the policy,
I do think it's I think that's a fair compliment to give. I do think it is also good advice. I do think it is important to be correct, right? You never want to come into something not knowing the facts, right? If you don't expose yourself to what the actual truth is, then it's going to be very hard for you to defend your point of view in any scenario in which it gets pushed back. Which is why, like, you see all of these people who put out some crazy hot take on X and they get flamed for it, and then they run away and then they jump on Blue Sky. Well, it's because Blue Sky is very heavily moderated. Or they jump on Reddit and they're heavily moderated. They push only one agenda. They will protect your point of view because your point of view cannot stand on its own against somebody else who attacks it with logic, facts, and reasoning. And most importantly, common sense.
He could win the debate. And that's what I hope you can both do. And I think that's what I hope we can all do. Be smarter
Right.
than them and be right on the issues.
I do think it would be nice to break the stigma of politics being a private thing and politics being something that is so debilitatingly fucking polarized. Like, I would like to see more and more and more people just sitting down, talking shop at your fucking local McDonald's, at your fucking at the pub at night after you had a long day of work with the boys. Talk a little shop. Everybody's just chilling, hanging out, good vibes. No reason to get heated. Here's my point of view. Here's your point of view. We can agree to disagree. Everything is chilling. Hey, you want another beer? That's how it should be.
And win the debate and do so using civility.
I think we will get there too, because I do think that there will be a course correction for left politics, and you'll start to see more Democrats that win are people who have taken the 2003, 2005 Democrat political stance, where it's just like the tax the rich to help the poor, everybody needs medical care, we should have kind of socialist sort of socialism systems in place for like food stamps and getting homeless people a place to live, that type of thing. I do think that is important. I do think that is in I do think that is a very important structure of our society, especially as more and more jobs disappear. You need more and more of these type of systems to help take care of these people that you are disenfranchising, because some of them will adapt and they will gain different skills and they will be successful in a different area. Others, not so good. They're not so good at adapting, right? Because there's plenty of work that we will never, ever get to the point to where an AI can do it for you. Not without redesigning the entire infrastructure to work with it. For example, trade work. Trade work is one of those things that you'll never see a robot doing it in our lifetime because it is too complex and there's too, you would have to essentially, from an engineering standpoint, design the building to be worked and operated and preventative maintenance to be done on by robots only. Removing the people from the scenario, everything, every bolt, every screw, every nail, every fucking piece of drywall, every piece of wiring, every fucking main line for the plumbing, everything has to be completely set up to be operated on by a robot. If you want to get to that point. And we're not even close to that. Not even in the next century. Because I think there's a certain subset of people, popular creators, who think that we are advancing faster than we actually are. That's what I think. Will we eventually get there? Yes. I do believe that eventually people will become more and more obsolete. I actually pissed off a bunch of people on Facebook today. That's been my favorite thing to do lately is I'll find some fucking ridiculous post and I'll throw in my most ridiculous response to said post. If I was signed into it on my computer, I would just simply pull it up. But actually, I'll just pull it up on my phone. We'll go over a couple of them real quick. Oh my god, I just missed another. Oh my god, another notification. Jesus. So somebody put this post on Facebook. Oh, it's BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed put a post on Facebook. Young women are rejecting patriarchal expectations that previous generations internalized. Once expected to shoulder emotional labor as a normal part of relationships, they are now more aware of the costs of caring, including suppressing their own needs. They are less inclined to date, with 56% saying it's hard to find someone who meets their expectations, compared to 35% of men. What do you know? Women have higher expectations. This is a normal thing, blah, 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 right? I put in the comments, anytime I see these, I just don't care. We are in the process of making androids that'll do the entire pregnancy process for us. And then, of course, I have a bunch of angry fucking females that have responded. 81 replies to that, and 113 laughing emoji responses by the men. None of the men put their 2 cents in because they're smart. Me, I don't care. So I put my 2 cents in anyway. But it's true. It's true. I do think eventually we'll get to the point, you can call this my hot take if you want, or my fucking radical position, conspiracy, whatever. I do think we'll eventually get to the point to where babies aren't even created by 2 humans anymore. I think it'll literally be like a deposit, and then you get your baby, right? On some like cyberpunkian, like crazy universe where you have sex with an android. The android does all the work of bringing the baby to term, and then voila, you get a baby, right? And then like the android at that point, like if it can carry a child, it's also advanced enough to take care of the child, and you can instill whatever bullshit you want to onto that child, because your android is also programmed to essentially help push those same values, and you don't have to worry about getting any pushback or differing opinions, because it's like perfect. It's all binary. It's a ones and twos, right? Whereas, and I do think this is true for the females as well. I do think this is true for women. I think women will eventually get to the point to where they're not even having sex with dudes anymore. Like, they're going to get the android, android thing, and it's going to have like an injection thing or whatever. Like, once it's detected that like the women or like the woman is at like the proper climax, then it just injects whatever fucking male profile they chose. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think eventually we're going to get to the point to where humans are completely disconnected from one another, and the idea of a 2-parent household is going to disappear. You can call that a hot take, but I do think eventually the world is going to become WALL-E.
And not evil and violence, which is so oftentimes what the side that is losing in this country is resorting to.
Fair.
Thank you so much. That's really helpful.
Thank you, ladies.
We got any more?
Thank you, Auburn.
Oh, that was the last one. That's right. All right. Well, I like this video. I think it's fair to put this out for the world to be able to critique these sort of things and see what people are thinking who are closest to him